morning, everyone. How's everybody this fine Wednesday? It's stopped raining for about 5 minutes, which is great here in Drogheda. Hope everybody is well and you've had a good week. Thank you to everyone who gave us lovely feedback last week, and the questions that came in afterwards were really, really good. I hope the discussion was of benefit for people. What we're finding is people are slowly starting to use the page and the group a bit more, which is great because we want to have those interactions with you and be able to answer those questions on the fly that you might need an answer for straight away, and not just waiting each week. So please do kind of send the questions into the group or the Facebook page and join in the discussion, because what's great is that so many other parents are engaging in the Facebook group as well, where they're giving their advice, and that's as important as any advice that we might give or any other parenting specialist might give, because parents are living it every day, and it's so important to learn from each other. I will always say that, when it comes to our parenting courses, I learn stuff every single time we do one. I never come away not having learned something new to try at home in my own family and my own home. So we can all learn from each other because we all have tons of skills. Like, every single one of you watching this has already got a ton of parenting skills. You just don't think about it, the skills that you have, because you just do what you normally do, and that's just the way it goes. So, definitely do engage in the Facebook group, and I definitely want to kind of try and build that a bit more and get it building, and the discussion going and flowing a bit more, which would be great. What else have we got? We had two parenting courses a couple of weeks ago that went really well. We got our Past Literacy On programme in Drogheda this weekend. Can't wait for that. It is hands down my favourite course to run, where we take young people who are struggling with dyslexia, and they walk in the door and their confidence is down there. And especially when they're coming in on a Saturday, it's not a school day, and they're having to do something that is to do with school in their heads, and then they're leaving, and their confidence is through the roof. They're literally walking home on clouds. It's such a privilege to be able to see that take place, and the growth, and for children to all of a sudden feel like they're not stupid, which is the most important thing, because no child is stupid. It's our system doesn't support them necessarily, and the way that they learn. And I think we need to get to grips with that as a country, but as a society, as a world, and to stop funneling children into an education system that doesn't necessarily suit the way they learn best. Imagine if every educational establishment took a child and built the education around the child's ability to learn, or their learning styles. Imagine what they would be like. We would not have a child walking around this planet feeling stupid, and our innovation would go through the roof, because children would feel like they have so much more to offer. They've so much more to give, and that they can actually achieve something. That would be phenomenal. So I absolutely would call on any government to revisit, and I know it takes time, you can't do it overnight, and definitely there are positive changes in the Irish education system in the last 5 years, which is good, where there's a lot more emphasis in some schools, not all schools, but a lot more emphasis on taking the young person where they're at, and working with them with the best way that's going to work for them. But we are still so far away from where we need to be, and it's so important that we take responsibility and say, no, this is what we need to do. So many children I work with are not getting the support that they need and that they are entitled to because of educational cutbacks. I hadn't planned to go on a rant about education and educational funding and the educational structures and systems, but I'm just so passionate about it, because no child should feel stupid. I have worked with too many children who've left school early, feeling like they are dumb and that they cannot achieve anything because they went to school and they couldn't actually interact with it, and they got in trouble. And what happened was they became known as troublemakers in the class, and they used to get put out of the class, because the reality was it was easier for them to get put out of the class than to sit there and go, I actually haven't got a clue what's happening in here. So they feel so stupid, and it's not right. I have one young person who has turned 18 recently, and he left school in second year, having had pretty much no education, struggled the whole way through. He missed a year, missed a year, missed a year, missed a year. And I got him to 16 and I sat him down and said, what do you want to do? And he goes, I just want to work. Great. Well then, so we got him a safe pass. We got him manual handling courses. We got him all the practical things that he would need to get a job. And he now is 18, going back to education to get his junior certificate in order to be able to get himself an apprenticeship. So he sees the purpose and the value of education. And he knows he can achieve it. And he knows when, because he's got such a work ethic. For 2 years, he worked solidly, did not miss a day of work, except for twice when he was sick and when he was on holidays. Like, there's someone who's now going back to education. And he sees the benefit of it and that he can actually achieve, which is essential. He left school thinking he was stupid. Now he knows he's not, that he has got a place in this world, and that's the most important thing. Anyway, rant over. Let's get into the questions. I'm trying to explain to my 5-year-old boy about strangers' touches. I mean, how can I show him the thin line about the playing, caress and strange touches in intimate parts of his body that no one can touch? I've shown him pictures with the red circles where people can and cannot touch him. Well, I think you've done actually quite a bit there. You've sat him down and said, look, there's appropriate touching and there's not, and you've given him a visual, which is really important for a kid, because you can say, don't touch this part or don't touch that part. But when you show it as a visual, kids respond so much better and they understand so much better. So it's absolutely okay to sit a child down and go through this. And it's age appropriate. And what you can do is continue the conversation and say, well, look, obviously, if we bring you to the doctor, so if we're with you and the doctor needs to touch you in certain places, that's okay, but we'll be with you and we'll let you know it's okay. So you're giving him that support the whole time. And then just, like, the chances are he's probably just going to take on board what you've said and he's going to let you know. And that's the important piece now. So you've given him the explanation. Now the important piece to reassure him that you can come to me and say it to me. So if anyone ever does touch you in those places, do come to me, no matter what they say. If they tell you you're going to get in trouble or anything like that, it does not matter. Everything will be okay because I'm your mum and I can protect you, or I will help you out, and you will never get in trouble for coming to me and telling me that. So that's so important as well. So let him know what you've said. Like, reassure him that, look, you understand, maybe get him to say it back to you, and then talk about the communication piece so he can come to you if he needs to, and see how you get on. But it sounds to me like you've done the big part first, which is showing him. And for any parent watching this, or anyone who's not a parent watching this, it's all right to kind of talk to kids about what's okay and what's appropriate and not appropriate. So, if you're looking after a grandchild or a niece or a nephew or whatever, and this comes up, it's all right to have this conversation. But the visual is so, so important, and it does help a lot. So give that a go. Good morning, Jennifer. I really enjoyed your interview with Jerry yesterday. A great one. Thanks very much. I love going on to LMFM with Jerry Kelly. Do that once every couple of months. And yeah, Jerry's great. He's just such a consummate professional, and he makes you feel so at ease when you're sitting down and chatting with him. And it's basically a conversation. It's just a discussion that we have. Right, next one. My 9-year-old came to me this week saying that one of her friends keeps telling her, okay, before I finish this, parents, if you are watching this with your child right now, maybe send them off to watch Peppa Pig or SpongeBob or go and do something else. Okay, so there's your warning, parents. If you're watching this with your child, maybe now is the time. This question is not necessarily a question for a child at this moment. Okay. My 9-year-old came to me this week saying that one of her friends keeps telling her that there is no Santa Claus. She was really upset. I reassured her that this wasn't true, but she came to me again saying the girl said I was lying to her. I fobbed her off saying that to not mind what her friend was saying, but now I'm riddled with guilt about lying to my child and what this might do to our relationship as she gets older and feels she can't trust her mum. Should I tell her the truth? This is one that actually strikes quite a chord with me because this is exactly what happened to me when I was 7 years of age. And funnily enough, the feelings that you're getting are exactly the feelings that my mum had. She felt, I think I came back to her about 2 or 3 times saying, this kid is saying that, there's no such thing as Santa. And my mum got to the point where she said, I can't lie to my son anymore. So I was a 7-year-old who found out about Santa Claus. Don't feel sorry for me. It's okay. I had a younger brother and he still believed, so it was grand. I still got the Santa presents. So that was great. Or not. Anyway, so you have your 9-year-old here who is questioning about Santa because she's being told, but she's also upset about it. So that says to me that maybe she's not ready to give up on believing in Santa Claus, and that's okay. So reading your question here, what you're saying is you're feeling guilty because she's coming back, and the fact that her friend said that you're lying to her is really plucking at your heartstrings. But what I'd say to you is, what's more important? Is your child believing in Santa more important right now? Is that the most important thing? Because, as I say many, many times, if your child is 25 and comes to you and says you were the worst mum in the world because you lied to me about Santa Claus, then they've had a pretty good life. Not a lot has gone wrong in their life, because if that's the worst thing that's happened to them. Because we've all been through it. Like, we've all experienced, well, most of us have experienced Santa Claus being here and then not being here, and we discover that it's our parents that give us the presents. And do any of us hold a grudge against our parents for it? I would suggest the majority of us don't hold a grudge against our parents. And if you do, so if you're sitting there listening to this or watching this, and you have a grudge against your parents at 20, 30, 40 years of age because they lied to you about a Santa Claus, you should probably look at your life and say, well, I'm doing okay, and that maybe the important thing is that they let me believe in a fantasy which was a lot of fun. And there is nothing like children's expression on Christmas morning when they're opening presents, and the pure joy on their face is, there's nothing like it. It's just so lovely. So what I'd say to you is, don't worry about the future. Don't worry about whether or not your child will forgive you for lying to her and making her believe in Santa Claus. Kids live in the moment. Most kids live in the moment. And it's all right to say to her, there is a Santa Claus in this house. There may not be a Santa Claus in her house, but there is in our house. And then if you really, really want to take it further, I would go to the parent of that child and say, look, I just want you to know that your daughter is telling my child that there's no Santa. We don't want her to give up believing just yet. So would you mind having a word with her about this? Because she's saying that I'm lying to my child. Now, you might get a parent who's going, well, that's the truth, and I want my child to know the truth and speak the truth, and that's fine. Well, then maybe you have to look at whether or not they can play together, because I suspect the parent will be a bit mortified, and the parent will just go, I'm so sorry, like, I'll definitely have a word with her, I'll definitely speak to her about it and let her know that this is not okay. So there's a good chance that's going to be the case. If you get opposition, well, then you have to decide what you're going to do. The chances are that if it keeps happening, maybe just pull your child back from that child for a few weeks till after Christmas. And if your child's continually getting upset, well, then maybe look at the friendship and say, well, is this person really your friend because they keep saying this stuff to you? And go from there. Okay, I hope that works out for you. Okay, last one today. My husband wants to take our 3-year-old to gymnastics classes, but I think she's still too young to be getting into organised sports, and I want her to just enjoy her childhood before things start getting competitive or overly structured. What's your opinion on children this age taking part in these types of activities? Well, if you're a regular viewer or listener, or have been around since the start, you know that I'm a huge advocate of children taking part in activities in sports. I think it's essential. I think it teaches our children so much more than we can teach them on our own. It teaches them teamwork. It teaches them competitiveness. It teaches them how that they have a part to play, and it gives them friends. It gives them a huge friendship group that will never be lost. Friends will come and go, but they'll always have those connections. I still walk around the town and I will bump into people that I played sports with as a child, and we'll stop and have a conversation. And it's lovely. It's absolutely lovely when you have that. And I think it's really important. So you've got a 3-year-old, and what I'd say to you is if the gymnastics class start at 3 years of age, what's the harm? Because it's built for that age group. You're not going to be taking your child into an environment where they're going to have to be doing handstands and backflips and all this, walking the beam and all that kind of stuff straight away. That's not going to happen. It's going to be fun. It's going to be tumbles. It's going to be rolling around the floor, just having fun. So what I'd say to you is take away the view of what it could be in the future, where it is structured, maybe where it is competitive, and just look at it for what it is right now, and that's just a bit of fun. And plus, it gives you a break, but you're also starting to teach your child about healthy lifestyles, which are just as important. I'm reading a book at the moment called Brain Maker, and it's really interesting. It talks about the importance of the gut in terms of our immune system and our, potential for, obesity and, I suppose going right down to, Alzheimer's and autoimmune diseases and stuff like that. And it's really interesting around, the importance of having a good, healthy gut. And part of that is the nutrition. And they learn that through doing activities like this. Now, I've gone quite a few years ahead. But what I'd say to you is the earlier we start our kids in a fun activity, they get used to taking part in activities so that it becomes less of a barrier the older they get. So I've coached kids Gaelic football teams, and you see girls coming in at 7, 8, 9, and they're petrified because they've never really taken part in anything, so they're not sure of themselves or what to do. Whereas the ones who've started activities from a younger age are just used to it. Now, of course, they'll be obviously nervous because they're starting out something new, but they're more open to just getting involved, and plus they're starting to build a group that they may say, well, I wouldn't mind doing basketball, and Jenny is doing basketball, so I've got a friend there straight away. So what I'd say to you is the benefits completely outweigh, in my opinion, which is what you've asked for, completely outweigh the deficits around this, because I don't see any deficits. Your child's just going to go and have fun and roll around and meet new people, and it gives you that bit of space to let dad look after it and take her off, and you get some time by yourself if you've no other kids. So what I'd say to you is go for it. As long as the gymnastics class has room for that age group, which they probably do, it's going to be all benefit. And she's going to get hurt. She's going to get bumps. She's going to get bruises. That's just life. And it's important for our children's resilience to know that when they get knocked over, when they get hurt, when they get bumped, when they fall down, they can pick themselves back up. Too many of the children that we have these days are not used to picking themselves up because we jump in and rescue them, or we stop them from doing things because they may get hurt, and we feel that, we don't want our children to feel hurt and pain. That's just part of life. So the more bumps and bruises they get at sports, the more used they get to bumps and bruises, and they don't break down and drop into a fetal position when they're 24 because they stubbed their toe. Or maybe they do. Who knows? Anyway, I'd say to you, it's all the benefits. There's just benefits all the way with this one. So give it a go and see. Okay, coming up to 20 minutes. Guys, thank you so much. Those questions were good. I enjoyed answering those questions. I was going to apologise for my rant at the start, but I'm not going to apologise for my rant at the start. I think it is important that we as parents start to stand up for our children's right to a proper education. And I mean a proper education that works with them, not just tries to pigeonhole them into a specific box and at times can make them feel stupid. So I'll never apologise for ranting about our need to take that responsibility. And it's very easy for us, all of us, to sit and complain about governments, complain about schools. We need to be the ones to take action. We need to be the ones to step up and step in and say, this needs to change. So if it means going and speaking to your local minister or TD or whatever it might be, go and do it. Lobby them, let them know that it's not okay for our children to not be getting the educational support that they need that works with them, as opposed to trying to squeeze them in. Now, so as I said at the start, I'm not going to go back into a rant, but some schools are fantastic at this. Other schools are not fantastic at it, and that's probably down to personnel, but it's probably down also to the restrictions that they have as well. So let's step up. If you've got a child that is struggling in school, step up and really push the school and the Department of Education to give them, your child, the support that they need. Now, it can be a thankless task and it can be a fruitless task in some cases, but as a society we need to start to move towards that. Yes, didn't say about the Patreon page, patreon.com/Al O'Donoghue podcast. Please do support. Even if you can give €1 a month, that does make a difference. I really, really appreciate it. It helps me put these out. I would love to be doing this more regularly, doing it maybe daily if I could, but the time and production, I just don't have it. So the more that the Patreon page can bring in, the more flexibility I will have to actually put time into producing more content for you guys. Anyway, I'm probably preaching to the converted. Thank you so much for your continued support. I hope you guys have a wonderful week, and I'll see you next week. Take care.